Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, I guess, if you're on the East Coast. I'm Jason R. Merrill with Blackbird Finery, and what was supposed to be a really spooky background ends up being a hotel room in Alpharetta, Georgia, as I am also vending at a convention here this weekend called Monsterama. So I do have, Mortimer here to help with the spooky, but unfortunately, it's going to be awfully bright. But be that as it may, what we're going to talk about are red colored sodas, and the fountains ran red. And I went for those that were blood like in going with the theme of the event. So let's just go ahead and get started. The first one was originally called strawberries, well, just strawberry a la Washington. I thought it might sound better as Red Coat Gore, although I thought of one even better afterwards, Lobsterback Bisque. So let's see how it looks. So I guess a third of a glass of shaved ice, which is kind of just crushed under these circumstances. I forgot my shaver. Strawberry juice, just a dash, and I got that from when I was crushing the strawberries. So it's just there. 2 ounces of strawberry syrup. And this is where the fun comes in. So that's 1. And that is 2. And I am using Torani strawberry syrup for this version of things. Easier to find than some other. Strawberry juice is awfully hard to find, but in this case, you don't need a lot of it, so it's not worth trying to hunt. But the really fun part of this is the 2 tablespoons of crushed strawberries, and in this case, I crushed them with a bar spoon in a shaker. And actually, these are the spoon small, so let me add another. But it's, can you see it? Very chunky. There's light. Well, too dark. In any case, it was a lot of fun mashing and chopping these up. So what we get is something like this, the strawberries on top. And then next is the carbonated water. And in this case, I'm just going to use a regular small bottle of Sifo, unflavored seltzer. There we go. I don't want to open these beforehand because then you lose the benefits of the carbonation. So I want to take this, whoop, just put my thumb over it, give it a bit of a shake. And be careful when you take it off. Got tons of bar napkins here. Clean a little as I go. It's messier than I thought. It does say add 4 halves of strawberries. So it also wants it in a smaller glass, but what I'll do is I'll just put the halves, well, I'll find very small halves of strawberries, which I do not have. These are actually big strawberries. I mean, big strawberries. That one won't even fit. Ah, there we go. Some smaller. Presumably these are to rest on the edge, but I don't know if there's a good way to get that to happen. Maybe? Does that work? So strawberry a la Washington, aka Lobsterback Bisque. So it's got lots of gory little chunks of strawberry in there. And it does say you could add cream to it. I've not tried it with that. but I can see where the cream mixed with the strawberry syrup would be very good. It just wouldn't make as dark a red a beverage, which is what I was going for. But also says serve with some spoons, but I just have the bar spoons here, and I'm just gonna take some of these strawberries out of the way. And let me take a sip. It's very good. Very strawberry, which is to be expected because there's no other flavors in here, but I really like it. It's slightly akin to just adding sliced strawberries to regular water, still or carbonated, but you've got a much denser, intense flavor because of the crushed strawberries. I like that one. I'll be doing that one a little more often. I guess let's hold the questions to the end so I can continue on with this and hopefully not allow myself to get distracted, which we know is going to happen anyway, but we'll see. Next was originally called the spice of life, but in this case, blood is the spice of life. And let's see how I'm going to do that. Well, I'll do it in one of these clear cocktail shakers. So it asks for red currant syrup, which is kind of hard to find. I prefer Ribena, which is a black currant syrup. It's basically meant as a concentrated black currant juice to be used with water to make a drink. It goes very, very nicely with ginger ale. That's the way I like to drink mine. But this will be in the international or British section of any grocery stores that have such a thing, or you can get it from British food retailers. Long been a favorite. And it's a little darker than the red. So, actually here, this is 2 ounces. Such a lovely color. And then another one, making 3. And then your lemon syrup is next. So you add lemon. Doesn't really adjust the color much. And then the raspberry, which is also red. I realize against a red background you may not be able to see the real color, but that's okay. I think you get the idea. So it says mix well and serve in an 8-ounce glass with cracked ice. I have this, which will work. Actually, no, let's use this one. This is like a 9-ounce plastic cup. I think that's 10. And let me add. Whoop. Here we go. Some more crushed ice. Let's put this in. It says mix well. We will shake well because there's nothing yet. There's nothing else. This will get it mixed a little better than with the spoon. Let's carefully ease off the top here. Oh, it leaked around the sides. Just add it to the ice. There we go. Yeah, this is it. I like the way it says it can be featured as the dispenser's own thirst quencher. Most of these were sold for about 10 cents each. And I like this particular combination a lot. It's actually very, very sweet, and I'm assuming that's from the Ribena. But these particular flavors mix really well together. Another one I like. So let's move on to the creamier ones, which will look less like blood because of the what am I trying to say here? The egg white and the sweet cream. But with a name like Nadja, I couldn't pass it up, and the fact that it was also raspberry. So let me get some other little containers here. I was able to only prep some of the syrups and stuff because I didn't really want them all sitting out, mainly for me to knock over while I'm mixing the other drinks. So let's do white of one egg first. So here's this is Bob Evans egg whites. Um, Always much easier to use the prepackaged egg whites than trying to crack an egg and separate it yourself at the time of preparation. And this is, I think, 1 ounce of these. Verify. Well, it says 2 tablespoons, and this is, yeah, that's right. Didn't want to get ahead or behind of myself, so let's use another clear shaker. I like using the clear ones so y'all can actually see what's going on. These are not the best, but they certainly work for this particular purpose. Your metal ones always tend to give a little better performance. They definitely help retain the coldness of the beverage, and if that's one thing for all of these main sodas, cold is important. You really want them as cold as possible, particularly the carbonated water. Next is the 1 ounce of sweet cream. I just realized that the it looks like 10 Z of sweet cream, but it's just 1 ounce. Um, I don't think I have any containers that measure in Z's, and 10 of them sounds like an awful lot anyway. But one of these little measuring / dosing cups is 1 ounce. So there we go. And then since this is kind of thick and stays on the edge, I'll use the same for the raspberry, another Torani raspberry syrup. Not sponsored, just one of my favorites. And this way, by using this, we'll get more of the cream in here. And yeah, this is going to be a little pinker than redder. Yes, you could always make these redder with the addition of red food coloring or something along those lines. I didn't want to cheat. I wanted to use just the original recipes to see how close we would get. Like I said, with a name like Nadja, I couldn't really pass this one up. So, cap the syrup, get that out of the way. So this is what it looks like at the moment. Still looks kind of scary, actually. And then we are going to shake well. swirl it, make sure it's on tight. I have to admit, I'm always afraid that when I'm doing this, like with the laptop right here, that I'm going to start shaking and it's going to end up going all over the laptop. I will do my best not to let that happen to you, but here we go. And this will ease off. I don't want that popping and flying everywhere. In this case, yeah, we'll just leave it in this. I don't have as many cups around here as I would like, but where's the, here it is. So it says fill with Vichy water, which is a particular type of mineral water. And I didn't really have the time to try and add the minerals to this to match it. But any actual mineral water would get you to the same place. It may not have the exact same taste profile. So like a Perrier or something like that. Vichy would have a particular balance of minerals to it. I'm not going to try to, let's see if I can shake a little of this. It's slick now, but there we go. Didn't want it spraying everywhere, but that is a lovely amount of foam here. I mean, that's that much foam, and actually it's 3 layers. So darker pink, lighter pink, and even lighter pink. But so less blood colored than I guess we would like, but I actually really like the way that looks. I like the separation there. I like that a lot. I mean, it's just creamy raspberry, but that's a nice solid flavored soda. And basically the exact same recipe you can use with pretty much any other fruit flavored syrup or a floral flavored syrup as that goes. A lavender or violet would probably go really well with the egg white and the cream. So I guess last here we have what was originally called a cherry fizz. I was originally thinking something wicked, but then I realized toil and trouble works just as well. You always have to mix a little Shakespeare in there somewhere. Yeah, so another clear shaker. And in this case, a ½ ounce of cherry syrup, and there should be enough left in here. This is Amarena Fabrari cherries, and I found this at a Total Wine, and these are very, very dark, lovely cherries packaged in their own syrup. And I'm just going to take, basically I'll use one of these as, well actually 2 of these is a ½ ounce. I've already spilled some in there, I guess I have. Maybe 3. But, I mean, these are absolutely lovely. Let's see if I can tip it. Incredibly dark cherries, if I don't spill it everywhere. They're lovely. Set that back in there. And 1/4 ounce lemon juice. Here's lemon juice. Oh, no. Got already had egg white in it. Make sure I. Yeah. 1/4 is the lowest. on this. Let's see if I can eyeball it here against the light. There we go. It's got your cherry syrup, you've got your lemon juice. And then the unique one is the bicarbonate of soda. And it says a 1/4 teaspoon. This, I think, will work. I don't want to go overboard. But what I think is interesting is it says add from the back of the spoon, but there's no way I can measure it appropriately if the spoon is upside down. So there we go. Add that in there. And oh, half full of carbonated water. Backwards. There we go. And then I did the whole thing backwards. I'm sorry. Let's just strain it. Then add a little. But what I'll do, since we've got it in here, ooh. Well, I said I wouldn't do it, and I almost did. The bicarb added a lot more pressure to this than I was expecting. So it says, let's go back down, strain it. Add more carbonated water. $10 ounces, 10 cents. It's a very sticky and messy set of operations here. But it's not as red. It's very pink. You could always add more cherry syrup to it. The bicarb gives it a really unique taste. My preferred club soda is Fever Tree, and that has a little bit of bicarb in it as well. So technically, you could probably mix this with the Fever Tree club soda and get the same flavor profile. And to be honest, you could probably add more of the cherry if you want to make it a lot redder. But as it stands, it's, you know, it's a lovely shade of pink. It kind of goes well with the Naja. But the other two definitely get the reds we were going for, particularly the blood is the spice of life. I think using the Ribena, the black currant there, really gives it the proper color. This, unless the strawberry, you know, unless you're using like a dried, dyed strawberry juice, dry juice is just powder. You won't get necessarily the darker red because you're using the actual, you know, with this right now, it's the actual strawberry juice and the crushed strawberries. But now that this has had a chance to marinate a bit, that's really good. That's one of those where the longer the strawberries sit in the water, and the other syrups, the better it gets. So that's actually it for these four. I don't really have any others prepared, so I'll go ahead and take questions. Does anybody have any questions? I probably ran through this a lot quicker than I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to do it from an odd hotel room. This one does not have the usual kitchenette that I tend to prefer for these. So no fridge, well, mini fridge, but no sink, definitely no dishwasher. So I was having to kind of make do on the fly. But does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Any other red fruits? Most of the ones I ran across were your traditional raspberry, strawberry, cherry, but you could certainly use pomegranate. And I don't know if there's pomegranate. No, there are pomegranate syrups out there because that's a component in some cocktails, and that would work, I think, just as well as a substitute in most of these. Uh, Cranberry as well. I don't think I've run across cranberry syrup. You can always make your own syrup by just adding a little sugar and boiling it down, or just go find a really strong uh, concentrate rather than a juice and use that. Um, Naturally green sodas. There might be. There are quite a few out there that are green, but they're all artificially colored. That's something I'd have to do a little research into. I mean, it might be that you would have to find a natural green, natural edible green dye that you could use along with whatever the ingredients. Raid the bogs. Now, matcha. Uh, okay, the difference between the flavor of sparkling and mineral is, in fact, the minerals. Um, Most of your mineral waters these days are actually either from a natural spring, so the mineral content depends on the location and the mineral content of the surrounding area that leaches into that water. Your normal sparkling water in the Sifo seltzer, it's just plain carbonated water. There's no flavor added. These days you can buy carbonated, uh, flavored carbonated water in all manner of flavors, and then you start getting into the alcoholic hard seltzers and stuff like that. That's all sparkling water. But for the most part, your even like your Perrier and your Aquafina and stuff like that you consider sparkling water, if those are from natural springs, they will have some form of mineral content. It just may not be A, very pronounced, or B, promoted as such. Now you've got your very specific, say, medicinal mineral waters like Saratoga Springs, Vichy. That's where people would go to take baths in these mineral water springs. And because that was supposed to be good for you, and it was good for you, they started selling the waters as well. The pharmacists started mixing up their own versions of those waters because they knew the actual mineral contents and they had all the ingredients on hand. And that was what I wanted to do with the Vichy, was try and figure out what the find one of the recipes that had the mineral contents and see if I could actually find those and mix them in with some regular sparkling water. But that's, I mean, to be honest, the flavor difference is in whatever minerals happen to be in that particular water. from a definition level, sparkling water and sparkling mineral water, it's all sparkling water. And all of the sparkling waters, for the most part, will have some sort of mineral content unless that's been specifically removed. Yes, hooray for chemistry. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, offers to help me clean up the mess I've made? Although it's not too bad. But recipes for blue soda. That I'll have to look. There are a few that do call for blueberry syrup, but most of those get a little darker, sometimes even on the purplish side. So I will definitely look for both green and blue sodas and try and maybe present those next time. It's a lot of these formula books, and all of these came out of this particular batch of recipes came out of the dispenser's formulary that you can find online via either Google Books or archive.org. And the way those are organized, it's just, okay, here's your syrups, here's your basic sodas, here's your fancy sodas, but they're just all lumped in together. Sometimes they're alphabetically, most of the times they're not. So they're not arranged by, say, flavor profile or colors or seasons or anything like that. They're all just kind of lumped in together. Do you ever create your own soda recipes? I have to admit that I am a bit of a chocoholic. So I have made variations of the traditional chocolate recipes like the Piff Paff Puff or the chocolate a la Arctic. I have to admit there's a great both flavor and mouthfeel that you get from shaved ice and like a really thick chocolate creamy sauce and syrup, and like a chocolate shake, but over that flaked slash shaved ice. There's just something about that. And I guess part of it is as a kid growing up here in Atlanta, we would occasionally go to the Varsity, and you could get it was basically chocolate milk, but they would give you a cup of their shaved ice, and the chocolate milk on that shaved ice was always really, really good. And this kind of harkens back to that taste memory for me. And of course, when I was in elementary school, there was nothing better than getting chocolate milk to go with your lunch and finding one of the little cartons that had been buried in the very, very back of the freezer. So it was half ice crystals. Those were the best. So I like that sort of, but I lend uh, my tastes lean toward the chocolate rather than the fruit. But I'm starting to find all of these different combinations of the fruit flavors that I really do like. Have I ever made a soda? Yes. There's one called Lunar Blend that if it's made properly, it's actually not too bad. But it's one where you take uh, two mixers and you break an egg and you put the yolk in one and the white in another. And then you mix those separately with various different fruit syrups. And then when it comes time to put it in the glass, you basically put, I can't remember which one in, but I think you put the yolk one in first, and then you float the white mixture on top of it. But it takes a really, really skillful mixer, blender, a human powered cocktail shaker to get those blended properly so the flavors don't. The first time I tried it, it was just absolutely disgusting. And I did try one again much later, and it was better, but it's still definitely not my favorite. I thought it would be good, but it's just not no. Okay. So if you run across the recipe for the lunar blend, you can look at it. You can try it yourself if you like, but it's definitely not for me. And there are some that I just absolutely will. I refuse to try them. Well, a if they're uh, uh, alcoholic, because I'm allergic. I can't. My system doesn't like that. But there are a lot that have like a claret syrup or a Madeira syrup or things like that, where you've made a syrup out of the wine. Uh, I have some grape juices from those same types of grapes, and I need to start trying to see if I can duplicate the flavor that way. But I'm not just gonna, I'm not gonna make a claret syrup to try and do a soda. Um, the other ones are the um, hot sodas that are on the, uh, shall we say, medicinal side, that include things like uh, beef and iron, or what was known as beef tea, which is basically beef juices in hot water. Um, I won't do any of the hot clam sodas. Um, I'll stick with the hot chocolates and the things like that. Most of the hot stuff is either soup or just flat out disgusting. So I'll definitely stay away from those. But those I haven't even tried. I'm just avoiding them entirely. Let's see. Any other questions? Uh, yes, there were. Now they called them hot sodas, and sometimes they used heated carbonated water, but oftentimes it was just hot water, and so it was more of a soup in a mug than an actual soda. But that's what drove a lot of their wintertime business, was the hot sodas. Yeah, no, no clam broth. I mean, I don't mind clams as a part of seafood, but and pearls are nice, but no, I'm not going to be drinking any clam based sodas anytime soon. They're also celery tonic type stuff. That might be okay, but no on the beef tea, no on the clam. Uh, any unusual soda ingredients I like to use? Now that I've tried the baking soda, I may try a little more of that. Um, there's nothing really horribly unique, although I much prefer using this type of cherry syrup than just like the heavily sugared, standard syrupy type syrups. I also had uh, just some maraschino cherries in syrup, but I'm sure these are awfully heavily sugared. Um, I've not tried anything with Angostura bitters in them yet, but there are a lot of sodas that have that. The most unusual would have to be the acid of phosphate for a traditional phosphate, and that's really just it's phosphoric acid, and you would just add a drop or two to the soda, and it just makes it very tart, and it definitely ups the tartness of like a lemon soda or something like that. But you would add it to any of your fruit flavored items, and I do have a small bottle of that, a company called Extinct Chemicals, and basically that's all they make is the acid of phosphate, and they also do lactart, which was a sour tasting milk based additive for sodas. So you could get your various phosphates, your various lactarts. Um, the phosphate, the tartness of it just isn't for me. I'm just not a fan of really overly tart stuff anyway. But you can still get it. It's still out there. I understand that there's some touristy type of retro soda fountains that serve what they call a phosphate, and it's just basically syrup and club soda. So you're not getting any of the acid of phosphates, and you're not getting that extra tartness that is the hallmark of a phosphate. I mean, that's why you order a phosphate is you want that tart flavor to it. But that has to be the most unusual because it's very, very hard to find. As a that I've heard the same thing, but I've not actually. Now that I'm doing the soda research, I've not actually gone in to take a look. But that's something I would be interested in finding out. Although I'd hate it if it destroyed the pearl in some way. It might depend on what it's being put in. But yeah, I'll have to look that up. I hadn't even thought of that. So that's a good question. So let's see. Now I'm looking up blues, greens, and pearls, which sounds interesting on its own. Let's see. Trying to scan the chat. Are there any other questions, comments, things you would like for me to try aside from blue, green, and pearl? Trying to see how we are on time. I mean, we plan for 90 minutes, but often I end up going, it's faster to mix these things than I think. But, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to try the, this is the one with blackcurrant. The blood is the spice of life. As I mentioned, adding about, well, what I'll do is I'll take like a small rocks glass. I'll put some ice in it, preferably crushed ice, add about an ounce of the Ribena, and then just top it off with ginger ale. And I really like that. It's easy to go overboard on the Ribena, so you have to kind of play with it to adjust it to your taste. Because if you get too much in there, it's really sweet because it's concentrated. It's meant to be mixed with a lot of water and make a British squash beverage, which is what they call lemonades and fruit-based drinks like that. Oh no, I have not. I have not, and that would be a neat thing to try. I'll have to look that up. You could certainly use grenadine in place of any of the well, any of these fruit syrups, but particularly if you needed something in place of a cherry, um, that would be a good substitute and probably easier to find in some circumstances. A lot of what had been done as sodas or were part of the fountains found its way into the actual uh, bar manuals and repertoire and ingredients. So a lot of what they're doing in bars today, the craft cocktails, came out of the soda fountain traditions. Same with some of the stuff that the baristas and coffee shops are doing. There's not really anything new under the sun these days. It's all variations of other things. New ideas are really nothing more than combinations of existing concepts, just new and unusual combinations of those things. Oh yeah, the not quite as gory as I was hoping with the crushed strawberries, but you can certainly go uh, a lot heavier on the mashing, and then instead of adding strawberry halves on top, just like double the amount of the crushed strawberries, and I think that would be uh, probably even better. One of the things that was a component in both a ton of sodas and your sundaes was in fact crushed fruit. And basically you would have your fresh fruit that would be sliced and used within things. And then before that turned, before it got too manky, they would chop it, crush it, use that. And then if that didn't, get used one day, the next day it was gone, and the whole cycle would start over again. They always wanted to use the freshest fruits, absolutely fresh syrups. There was a constant cycle of you'd make something, you'd put it on ice, you'd only get to use it for a week or less, and then you'd pitch it and move on to the next stuff. And then as the canning and preservation technology got better, then you had companies like J. Hungerford Smith who sold, batches of crushed fruits specifically to the industry. And then instead of worrying about can I get all of the fresh fruit myself to chop it all myself, you could order, Hungerford Smith's crushed pineapple, crushed cherry, crushed strawberry to be able to use in whatever your confections were. And that would last just a little longer than the honest, fresh stuff you were making yourself. I mean, it was a convenience thing. It was still, certainly good product, but it wasn't done by you in house. But that's the way it is these days. Is so much stuff is done outside of restaurants in ghost kitchens and other situations like that. Uh, any other questions? As I'll take the rest of my um, crushed strawberries and add them on top. There we go. There we go. That's a little more gory. I don't know if we can show. Whoop. Well, that was smart. So this just dripped onto my trackpad. So now 4 separate windows have popped up on the laptop. So if I can lightly dry this without closing the StreamYard window in the browser, I can find my cursor. There we go. There we go. We're back. Well, for me, you're back. I thought I had the laptop set far enough away, but obviously not. And all I have with me are this rapidly dwindling stack of bar napkins that I got as part of an estate sale. There was, in fact, a restaurant that went out of business. And so I managed to get a large selection of their barware for next to nothing. But part of it was stack of, actually it was a much larger than stack of the cocktail napkins, some little bamboo picks to go in things, some wrapped, really small straws to go in cocktails. It's an interesting batch of stuff, but I've ended up using quite a bit of it. Yeah, some of the cocktail spoons, although your best source for stuff like this, there's a company called the Websterant Store, and they're a restaurant supply company that does most of their business online. And one of these might cost up to $7 at Total Wine, 70 cents each at Websterant Store. And then that was where I found, well, these clear cocktail shakers, and they sell these in a couple of different sizes. And I like these because it shows you the color and the way the mixtures go together as I'm making things, but they're disposable. So if I need to, I can just pitch them all at the end of the show and go back and get more. Or I could just keep them around to drink things out of, which I have done on occasion. But any other questions as I blot the one spot I see on the laptop screen? And since this is a touch screen, this might be, there we go. Not as disastrous as I was fearing. I was afraid I was going to touch the screen and disconnect myself. Isn't that rude? You know, you're watching someone do a virtual presentation and they just up and disconnect and leave you hanging. I won't do that. I promise. Although, kind of wish this was in person rather than virtual, because I have a lot of strawberries I need to get through before they turn on me. Nothing worse than having fruit turn on you and chase you down with torches and pitchforks. Any other questions, comments? Oh, I do need to mention, I'm here in Atlanta at Monsterama. Probably be here today until 5. Next Saturday, I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina, as part of the I believe it's Nightshade pop-up market with some other Lolita vendors. Black Ribbon organized the little pop-up, so I'll be there vending my cufflinks and such in person. So if you're in the area, please come by and say hi. I'd love to meet some of y'all. It's been all virtual, all way too long. And I have some stuff up on blackbirdfinery.com. I've got a Ko-fi just under Blackbird Finery. Unfortunately, I don't have any, say, sober-related merchandise. I do have the cufflinks and the menswear items, but always willing to chat and answer questions. If you have any questions later, you can just email me at jason@blackbirdfinery.com. I really appreciate Bay Area Kei inviting me to do these. I always have a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy them too. Let's see. Oh, thank you for the links. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Nightshade. That's not an area I've gotten to spend too much time in. So I'm interested in getting up there and particularly seeing what sort of antique malls I can find myself lost in on the way up and back. But yeah, I guess we can wrap it up a little early, give y'all time to prepare for Haxon House. I kind of need to get back down to my table and see what's going on downstairs. But once again, I really appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope y'all had fun. I always have fun doing these. Don't necessarily enjoy the cleanup process, but I do enjoy the fruits of my labors. At some point, I would love to be able to do these live so we can actually have tastings in person. So hopefully soon we can figure something out along those lines. And if, as things are opening back up, if you have a local event and you would love to see me appear, tell them to contact me, and maybe you'll see me in your neck of the woods. But for now, I'll go ahead and sign off. And once again, thanks everybody. Thanks Bay Area Kei. and I will see y'all later.